Are you doing habitual things due to the fact they are habitual? Or is it because you actually enjoy doing them and so you want to do it? I ask this coming from the perspective of, are you letting your day run you, or are you running your day? We as humans, I know I've talked about this 1,000 times, but we as humans are very routine based. We love comfort. It really just stems from knowing the known, having a routine, not having to think about anything but the action that we are doing. And it is something that is comfortable. Once we get out of the stage of doing something the exact same way every single day, every single night as a routine, we can break that cycle. We can better understand what we are doing and why we are doing it. For example, if every single morning you wake up and you go to the gym, that is doing something over and over and over again. It is not good. It is not bad. It is just a routine. Because maybe you could sleep in a bit and then after work go to the gym. Or during your lunch break, you could go to the gym. I don't know how long your lunch break is, but sometimes spicing up your routine changes your life for the better. Because maybe one reason that you didn't go to the gym this morning is because so you avoided a crash. And so you went this afternoon or this evening or whenever you ended up going. Because small, minute changes, I was getting those two combined, choices can change your life more than you and I can know. Because this morning I was like, it is Wednesday, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna go to swim, I'm gonna go to the pool. And I was like, am I doing this because I actually want to go to the pool? Or is it because I'm such a habitual creature that I like to have routine and on the know and on the gain? And I was like, man, you should really get up. It's like, you were like last night, I went to bed at like 12ish and I was like, if I get up at like early, I'll go. And I was like, okay, fine. I woke up at like 6:13 and I was like, I kind of really want to go back to bed. And so I was like, you know what, let me see. But then like my brain was like going at like 90 miles an hour, like right when I woke up. And I was like, shoot. Okay, fine, I'll get up. Okay. And then I was like getting ready for the day and I was like, I'm gonna go to the pool. And then I took myself out of my head and I looked outside the window. I'm like, Emma, do you really want to go to the pool? Or are you just a habitual creature and you like going in a sense of a routine? And I'm like, man, it's probably just out of routine. And then I was like, let me just slow it down and I'll figure it out. And so got ready and I like every single morning I like to do like some Spanish so that my Spanish doesn't get awful. And then I'm like thinking, and so like I read a little like paragraph or so in like Spanish and I'm like, okay, cool. And then I was like, let me just do some like listening. And so like I literally just listened to this little kid's show on like YouTube and this dude was making pizza for his like Paw Patrol. Like it was like that perspective. And I was like, man, okay, did some Spanish. And then like I got up, I ate breakfast and then like now I'm here. And just not being a habitual person was kind of nice because I just let the day flow. And I don't know, I kind of just like thought about how we are just very set in our ways. And what really just blew my mind was, so I was reading Joe Dispenza's how common people are doing the uncommon. And I think I've talked about this, so I'm like probably repeating myself. But he was talking about how people will do the same thing over and over again. And then eventually it will become mindless. You don't have to think, you don't have to change, you don't have to do anything. And that you let the years go by because you don't have anything different. You do the same thing over and over again, and your mind can't tell the difference between yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And you neurologically become so used to this pattern that your emotions dictate your future. From the perspective of, oh, I know I have to go to work tomorrow. Oh, I hate my job. I hate everything. Oh, I have to do a really long commute. I guess I'm just going to listen to music and drown it out and listen to the same podcast or listen to the same playlist like I did yesterday in the same order. And you do that for weeks and months and years, and you can't tell what was last year and what was this year. And that is how 10 years passes. That's how 5 years passes. That's how a year passes by so quickly. And having that spice up, having that change up, doing something new is what honestly, I think at least, don't quote me on this, no scientific backup or like reading backup, that you can stay young. I want to stay young forever, but that's like not possible. But you can just, I don't know, you just get a different type of vibe. You spice up your life differently than a normal person would, and then you're not that normal person. Because what really is the determining factor between the common person and then the uncommon person is what they do. And if you want to do something that no one else has ever done before, you cannot live like anybody else has lived before. And that is the thing that keeps me so disciplined. That is the idea that makes me want to just grind and try to do something else like no one else has done before. And that's absolutely cliche. That is absolutely like, I want to do this when pigs fly. I'm gonna have pigs fly. But I think to a certain extent you kind of have to be that way. You have to be a little delusional, and you have to dream bigger than no one else has ever believed in, because no one else has done it before, you know? And there's no one gonna be like you ever in the world of history. And I know I've said this before, but I think it was Chris, like the night bouncer from the UK. He was like talking from the perspective of being known and being like world renowned. He said, the Queen. When was the last time you thought of the Queen of England? Just now. She was one of the most influential, most wealthy, she had all the titles, okay? But most of us forgot about her until you heard her name and her title. That is the thing. Regardless of how big you get, you will be forgotten eventually. And so that is why you should be so, like, not unbelievable, but belief that you can do anything that you want, that you can go as big as you want, because at the end of the day, it's just you that is going to remember you, or your family, or your loved ones, or your tiny knit circle. And so that is why you got to go big. That is why you have to do the uncommon things that the common person will do. That's why you have to break out of your routine. That is why you have to do some things that no one else is willing to do. I think as a child, I did like competitive swimming. Like, I swam, and oh my goodness gracious, I have this memory burned into my head, and my coach at the time, this was like junior in high school, this was a Wednesday double practice. That's how bad it was. I did morning practice and then I came back for my double, and I There was like 2 other guys, and then I think 2 other girls, including me. Yes, it was, because her daughter was there, my other friend was there, and then 2 other boys. And we looked at the board, and it was a hypoxic set. And so if you're not familiar with swimming, hypoxic set means that you can only do a certain amount of breaths per distance. And I remember the set just being awful. And the first round was terrible. It hurt so bad. And then she was like, yeah, now do that again. Do that set again. Sorry, the lighting is very crazy because I have plants right like in front of me. I'll show you. I have plants like right there. And so they're definitely like blocking and making the light weird. So sorry about that. But, okay. Let's go back. Yeah, okay. And so I just remember that. And it really just taught me that if you want to do, in this perspective, if you want to swim like no one else has swam before, you have to outswim yourself and do the hard things. And I just remember in that set, it was so painful. Like my lungs were burning, everything was burning. And like I did the set like perfectly fine. Like I did it, and it was probably the most mentally tiring like thing of my life. And because it was so difficult, and it just taught me how to be comfortable with being uncomfortable, because I was like, oh, this is really uncomfortable, but I'm doing it anyway. And you have to do things that no one else is willing to do the things that no one else is willing to, or that no one else can do. And that really cemented that within me, that regardless of certain routines in life, you have to break different things, and you have to build certain habits to create not necessarily a routine, but a strong base. I think that is the most important thing, is creating a foundation for yourself to always fall back upon, to always go back to be your tried and true. Because you can't have a I don't even know if that's very big, a 20-story building, I know it's really big, a 20-story building without a strong foundation. You can't. And when you come about of this, the question is, what are you going to do? So I just had this, but I kind of forgot it, and that's okay. Oh, here. Okay. This is like an analogy, okay? You and I are like buildings. We are built on a foundation. And sometimes storms come. Freeze-thaw occurs, or freezing and thawing occurs. Like winter storms come. Blizzards, tornadoes, hurricanes, tsunamis, avalanches, earthquakes, all the natural disasters you can think of. Imagine yourself, okay? Does your building stand up? Does your building fall? Does your building crumble? Does your building bend? I ask you this because we are the exact same. You and I have a foundation of what we truly value, what we want in life, how we get there, and what we do with our time. Because those 4 things, I can't rename them, honestly. Those 4 things dictate how we live our life, what we do with our time. Because as those natural disasters come, as rain comes, as shine comes, as yada yada, do you withstand the test of time? Your time is your life. Your test of time is your life. And for example, I don't know, I just keep coming back to this because it's like the freshest, but I'm so sorry. I've talked about this like it's like my it's like my lore. I don't know. Anyways, yada, yada, yada. You know how hard my internship was. Okay. So working that 9 to 5, I had the choice to sleep in, eat crappy because I was stressed, eat lots of sweets because I was stressed, stay inside because I was stressed, and just not do anything because I was in a terrible mood. I literally didn't like it very much. I shouldn't say that. It wasn't enjoyable personally for me. And I just felt very overwhelmed, very stressed. 6th time, 5th time. And all these other things. But I still fueled my body. I still had movement. I talked with my friends. I talked with my roommates. I still tried to be the best version that I could. But I crumbled. I cried. I was super anxious. My body was like, it felt sick all the time. And I was exhausted. But now I am here. During that time period of your life, your foundation is going to be tested. Whether or not I was still going to cook for myself, whether I was going to eat out for fast food, if I was still going to move my body, if I was still going to be talking to people, if I was going to still be kind to others, even when I didn't want to be. All your core foundation of what you believe in, how you act when no one's looking, what you do with your time, and the quality of things that you do are tested through your hardships. Just like buildings are tested through rain, summer, winter, shine, tsunamis, tornadoes, whatever. Creating a strong foundation is so important. Being able to fall back upon that is what matters in life. And when you can finally move on from having that strong control over your schedule, your routine, who you talk with, when you go, how you go, the fashion that you go in, the clothes that you wear, every single small, minute detail of how you live, then you can spice it up a bit. Then you can do something different because you are no longer in that scarcity mindset of survival. Because sometimes we are in that mindset of simply surviving. Surviving just to survive to get to the next thing, and that is okay. You and I have those periods of time in our lives in that period. Yeah, redundant, but yeah. And so when you feel safe, you can like feel like you have the freedom to explore. Because you're not worried about who's going to eat you, when you have to be there, yada, 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 all these other responsibilities. And so when you feel safe, you can kind of deviate from plan. It's kind of like an artist, okay? I remember when I was little in like elementary school, I went to these after school programs that you could learn how to draw. And so this lady showed us how to draw and what to do and how to make the basic design. I remember drawing a book bag or a backpack or, yeah. And you draw it perfectly. Not exactly, but you try your best to draw it the way that she's drawing it because you're like, yo, that's right. But then as you get comfortable and you understand as a little kid what the things that you like, you can kind of deviate from that. You can add a little swirl here. You can add a little star over here. You can add some scribbles over here, some different colors that are not normal. It's because you no longer have those boundaries that you used to have in the beginning because you are familiar with that. And that is the same thing. When you feel constraint, you go back into a routine because you just want to get by. You want to just be safe and have the known when you are absolutely stressed. At least that's what I do. I like to have control when I'm stressed because I feel like nothing else is very controlled, so I have to control something. And I'm trying to get better at that. But I think today was a good testament for that. And it's literally maybe 8-ish, I don't know. Maybe 8:39, whatever. But when you finally are able to relax and to get out of your routine, you can finally take control of your life and take control of your emotions that you feel. Because you become aware and you become, in a sense, your perspective has changed because now you can decide what you want rather than letting your life decide for you. Food for thought.